Want the #1 killer in America to stop killing people? Install some sidewalk.
Jeff Speck, in his book Walkable Cities, says there are 4 types of walkability that contribute to the walkability of an area. I want to share what those are and kind of break it down for you. And once you understand that, you'll understand that why we have such a big challenge with walkability here in the United States. Hey, my name is John. I go by the Happy Urbanist, and this is what I like to talk about. So the first type of standard for walkability is safety, and this is what she's addressing in this video. The second type is the useful or the practical walk. Like, you have something that you can get done by going on that walk. There's comfortability, and there's also interestingness. And when you combine these 4 things together, you usually get places that look like this. European places that we all plan our vacations to. So why don't we have that in America? One of the biggest reasons is something known as exclusionary zoning. We break up the different parts of our cities into different uses, like living, and that puts them a further distance away from other things. And so while she talks about a 20-minute walk being close, that is true in America. Most people that live in neighborhoods like this aren't 20 minutes away from anything. It's also too far if she ends up having to do another 20 minutes to her next errand. So if she wanted to go to, say, the dry cleaners or anything like that. But on top of this experiment of exclusionary zoning, we've also doubled down on single family housing. So 90% of housing that's allowed to be built in cities is typically like this. So whether you are a elderly widowed man living alone or a family of 6, you have the same type of house that takes up a lot of space. And as a result, American footprints in cities are getting larger and larger. Like Nashville and Barcelona with the same size population, Nashville has 13 times the size. So it's 13 times more roads, sewers, electrical lines. So never mind affording sidewalks, we can't even afford roads. All the taxes levied by cars don't even make up 50% of the roads we can't even afford to maintain. So you have zoning that spreads things apart, housing that spreads things apart, but then also parking. You see, vehicles take a lot of storage space, and that's created such a problem that we've had to force businesses through what are called parking mandates or parking minimums to allow for part of their real estate to be dedicated to parking whether they want to or not. So even if you're a bike shop who doesn't even want to serve car drivers, you don't have that option. You have to accommodate for parking. This parking further exacerbates the walkability problem because it puts things further and further apart. Downtowns like Kansas City have up to 40% of their downtown dedicated to parking, which isn't cheap or free, by the way. The businesses pay for it, and the businesses put that cost in their product, so we pay for it. So when you see a big empty parking lot, we paid for that. But even parking structures, when you look at it like this, you'll notice that it increases the distance between buildings. And if you think of those 4 areas of walkability, parking diminishes that. Now, you might stop me and think, I don't care. I don't want the authoritarian, tyrannical sort of things that come if it means that's what it takes to look like Europe. But you need to understand this is traditional development pattern, that cities and communities over time developed in small, compact spaces, and when they were successful, they copied. In America, we have the authoritarian top-down sort of ruling that says, nope, the city can't develop past here, and only what it can develop past here is housing. So instead of expansion through duplication, we have over-expansion vertically, and these housings can't pay for their own infrastructure. So you end up seeing vertical expansion downtown, which subsidizes the infrastructure for the suburb. But at some point, there's a breaking point, which is why our infrastructure is failing. And you might think, okay, whatever, but I still don't want my city to look like Gotham City. I want it to look something more like this. Traditional American neighborhood, right? Well, actually, it's not. Take a look at this. You see, not all density has to look like Manhattan. In this case, you can fit 9 units on what would typically be just 2 houses. This sort of density can afford its infrastructure. It also gives smaller starting and end-of-life housing options for the 60+% of the population who is 1 to 2 people household. And some people might like it in the increased community it affords. Because here's the thing, density can afford its own infrastructure. These people might pay less in taxes than these people, but this generates more revenue to afford the same amount of road. Now you might stop and think, I don't care, I still just want to live in the suburb. That's fine, but if you paid the taxes commensurate to the utilities that your house requires, it would be through the roof, like a gated community, because that's essentially what a suburb is. It's a subsidized gated community. Roads that are meant to serve no one else except for those that live. But if you had the sort of gentle density that I'm showing you right here, you could afford to almost have a micro downtown in your neighborhood, small neighborhood commercial businesses that increase community and could look lovely and beautiful and don't have to be out of touch with your current aesthetic. Now, what do we need to do this? Do we need some sort of top-down authoritarian law on high? No, we need to give individuals more property rights where they could subdivide their lot and build structures on it, smaller structures. 2, we can give business owners more freedom with what to do with their property and not mandate that it be parking. 3, we can allow for gentle neighborhood commercial purposes, which increase safe, comfortable, practical, and interesting walk. And none of this mandates that you can't leave your zone of interest. Like when you see European cities which have their own neighborhoods, which are essentially little micro cities within the city, you could always leave one neighborhood to go to the other if you'd like, but you don't have to if you don't want to. And these didn't form because the government forced there to be a church in each neighborhood. That's just what happened when there was a collection of neighbors.